There comes a moment in every life when a person must stand face to face with themselves and ask a difficult question: am I truly free? Not free in the sense of movement or speech, but free from fear, free from excuses, free from the quiet voice that whispers, "You cannot." Many people spend their lives fighting visible enemies while surrendering daily to invisible chains. These chains are made of doubt, comfort, and the habit of settling for less than what they were created to become. True freedom does not begin the day a door is opened or a chain is removed. It begins the moment a person decides that fear will no longer govern their life. Many believe they are trapped by circumstances, by society, by history, or by those who hold power over them. Yet the deepest captivity often lives quietly within us. It is built from self-doubt, hesitation, and the habit of accepting less than we are capable of becoming. These walls are invisible, but they are strong, and they cannot be broken by force alone. They are broken by courage. The weak version of yourself survives by convincing you that safety is the same as freedom. It tells you that avoiding risk is wisdom, that silence is peace, and that waiting is patience. But there is a great difference between patience and fear disguised as patience. When a person remains small, not because they must, but because they are afraid to rise, they are not free. They are simply comfortable in their captivity. To kill that weak version of yourself is not an act of violence, but an act of liberation. It is the decision to confront a fear that has shaped your choices and limited your vision. It is the understanding that excuses, no matter how reasonable they sound, can become chains when repeated often enough. Freedom demands responsibility. It asks you to own your choices, your effort, and your future. There will be moments when the cost of growth feels too high. Discipline will feel heavy. Change will feel ill. The voice of weakness will remind you of every past failure and every possible loss. But remember this: courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to be ruled by it. Every step you take beyond your comfort strengthens the part of you that was meant to lead. True freedom requires inner discipline. It requires waking up when it is easier to sleep, standing firm when it is easier to surrender, and speaking truth to yourself when self-deception feels kinder. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. It is how you prove to yourself that your life has value and direction. When you liberate yourself from inner weakness, the change does know. T end with you. A free mind carries a responsibility. Your growth becomes an example. Your strength becomes hope. Others begin to see that transformation is possible, not through anger or resentment, but through perseverance and integrity. The world does not need more people who are loud about their struggles, yet unwilling to rise above them. It needs individuals who are brave enough to do the DI, difficult inner work, to free themselves from fear and to walk forward with dignity. When you kill the weak version of yourself, you are not rejecting who you were. You are honoring who you were meant to become. And in that moment, you discover that true freedom was never something to be given to you. It was something you had to claim from within. Courage is often misunderstood. Many believe it is loud, aggressive, or fearless. But true courage is quiet. It is found in the moment when comfort calls your name and you choose growth instead. It is found when avoidance feels easier than effort, yet you step forward anyway. The weak version of yourself depends on comfort to survive. It hides in routine, excuses, and the belief that tomorrow will somehow be different without action today. Comfort is seductive. It promises peace, safety, and rest. But comfort, when held on to for too long, slowly erodes purpose. It teaches you to accept what is easy instead of pursuing what is meaningful. Growth, on the other hand, makes demands. It demands discipline when motivation fades. It demands responsibility when blame feels more satisfying. It demands purpose when drifting would require less effort. This is why courage is not a single act, but a daily decision. The path of growth is rarely gentle. It will expose your weaknesses, test your patience, and remind you of every reason you might fail. There will be days when the weight of responsibility feels unfair, when the discipline you chose feels like a burden rather than a blessing. In these moments, the weak version of yourself will whisper that you have done enough, that slowing down is wisdom, that comfort is deserved. But strength is born the moment you refuse to listen. To choose growth over comfort is to accept pain with dignity, not pain for the sake of suffering, but pain as a necessary companion of transformation. Every meaningful change requires discomfort. Muscles grow through strain. Character grows through resistance. A life of purpose is shaped not by what you avoid, but by what you endure with intention. Responsibility is the foundation of courage. When you accept responsibility for your actions, your habits, and your future, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for permission to become better. You stop blaming circumstances for the limits you have placed on yourself. Responsibility is not heavy when it is chosen freely. It becomes a source of strength because it gives your life direction. Discipline, too, is an expression of courage. It is the willingness to do what must be done even when no one is watching, even when applause is absent. Discipline is how you build trust with yourself. Each small act of commitment weakens the old version of you that relied on comfort and avoidance. Each repeated effort strengthens the version of you that can endure hardship without losing dignity. Purpose gives meaning to this struggle. Without purpose, discomfort feels pointless. With purpose, even pain becomes bearable. Purpose reminds you why growth matters, not only for you, but for those who will be influenced by your strength. When you rise above comfort, you show others that progress is possible, that fear does not have the final word. Courage is choosing growth again and again, even when the path is painful. And in that choice, the weak version of yourself slowly fades, replaced by a person capable of carrying responsibility, standing with discipline, and walking forward with unshakable resolve. Pain is often treated as something to escape, something to silence, something to forget as quickly as possible. We are taught that a good life is one without struggle, without discomfort, without wounds. But this belief has weakened many strong spirits. The weak version of ourselves fears pain because it misunderstands it. It sees pain only as punishment, never as preparation. Yet history and life itself teaches us a different truth. Pain is not an enemy sent to destroy us, but a teacher mean to shape us. The weak self runs at the first sign of hardship. It avoids failure, hides from responsibility, and retreats when challenged. It asks, "Why is this happening to me?" and waits for relief. But the strong self asks a more powerful question: what is this trying to teach me? That question changes everything. It transforms suffering into wisdom and struggle into strength. Pain loses its power to break you the moment you decide to learn from it. Every meaningful transformation is born from discomfort. A person who has never struggled has never been tested, and a person never tested has never discovered their true capacity. Pain strips away illusions. It reveals what is fragile and what is enduring within you. It forces honesty where comfort allows self-deception. In pain, you me. At yourself without masks, without excuses, without lies. This does not mean pain should be glorified or sought recklessly. It means that when pain arrives, as it always does, you do not waste it. You do not allow it to turn into bitterness or self-pity. Bitterness is what happens when pain is resisted. Wisdom is what happens when pain is understood. One weakens the soul, the other strengthens it. Here will be moments when pain feels unfair, when it arrives without warning and stays longer than expected. In these moments, the weak version of yourself will beg you to give up, to harden your heart, to believe that life is against you. But strength is choosing not to let pain make you smaller. Strength is allowing pain to deepen you, not diminish you. Pain teaches patience to the impulsive, humility to the arrogant, and resilience to the fearful. It builds character quietly, often without recognition. Long after the wound has healed, the lesson remains. And those lessons become the foundation of inner freedom, because a person who has learned from pain cannot be easily defeated by it again. When you stop running from pain, you stop running from growth. You begin to see challenges as preparation rather than punishment. You understand that every setback carries the seed of progress, and every hardship sharpens the spirit. The strong self is not the one who feels no pain, but the one who refuses to let pain have the final word. To kill the weak version of yourself is to stop asking for a painless life and start asking for a meaningful one. Meaning is earned through endurance, reflection, and courage. And when pain has finished teaching you, it leaves behind something far greater than comfort. Wisdom, dignity, and an unshakable strength that no circumstance can take away. Discipline is often spoken of as restriction, as sacrifice, as something harsh and demanding. Many see it as a burden placed upon life, something that steals joy and freedom. But this understanding comes the weak version of ourselves, the version that confuses comfort with happiness and ease with fulfillment. In truth, discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is its foundation. Discipline is an act of self-respect, and without self-respect, no person can truly rise. When you honor your time, you are declaring that your life matters. Time is the most democratic gift given to humanity. Rich or poor, or powerful or powerless, each day arrives with the same hours. The weak self wastes time carelessly, believing there will always be more tomorrow. The strong self understands that every hour misused is a piece of life surrendered. Discipline teaches you to treat your time as sacred, to invest it rather than spend it, to build rather than drift. To honor your word is to build trust with yourself. Many people speak of integrity as something owed to others, yet forget that the most important promises are the ones made in private. When you say you will try and then quit, when you plan and then delay, you quietly teach yourself that your word has little value. This is how weakness grows. Discipline interrupts this pattern. Each time you do what you said you would do, especially when it is difficult, you strengthen your inner authority. You become someone you can rely on. Potential is a responsibility, not a compliment. To possess ability and never develop it is not humility, it is neglect. The weak version of yourself hides from potential because potential demands effort. It demands discipline. It demands the courage to fail while learning. But when you respect your potential, you refuse. To let it decay through laziness or fear. You train it daily, patiently, knowing that greatness is rarely the result of sudden inspiration, but of consistent effort over time. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. It is waking up when it is easier to stay asleep, preparing when it is tempting to postpone, and standing firm when excuses feel justified. These choices appear small, but they shape character. Over time, discipline creates momentum. What once felt heavy becomes habit. What once felt impossible becomes routine. The weak self seeks motivation. The strong self relies on discipline. Motivation fades with emotion, but discipline remains steady. It carries you forward on days when belief is shaken and enthusiasm is absent. This is why discipline is a deeper form of self-belief. It says, I will act in alignment with my values, even when my feelings disagree. When you live with discipline, you send yourself a powerful message: you are worth the effort, you are worth the struggle, you are worthy of your own dreams. And slowly, quietly, the weak version of yourself loses its voice. In its place rises a person grounded in respect, guided by purpose, and strong enough to shape their own destiny. Strength is often spoken of as a personal achievement, something earned for individual success or survival. But true strength carries a deeper meaning. It is not only about how far you rise, but about how your rising changes the world around you. Becoming strong is not merely a personal desire. It is a moral responsibility when you choose to kill the weak version of yourself. You are not making a selfish decision. You are answering a duty that extends beyond your own life. Every human being is watched, whether they realize it or not. Your actions speak in ways your words never could. When you remain trapped in fear, excuses, and resignation, that weakness does not stay contained within you. It spreads quietly. It teaches others that surrender is acceptable, that potential can be ignored, that circumstances should be blamed rather than challenged. Weakness, when tolerated, becomes contagious, but the same is true of strength. When you rise with dignity, discipline, and courage, you give others permission to believe in their own transformation. You may never know who is observing your journey, who is drawing hope from your persistence, who is finding courage because you refuse to give up. Strength lived honestly becomes a light, not through speeches, but through example. To become strong is to reject the lie that your life affects only you. Your family, your community, and even strangers are shaped by the standards you choose to live by. When you hold yourself accountable, you raise the level of accountability around you. Where you endure hardship without bitterness. You teach resilience without preaching it. This is leadership in its purest form. Strength rooted in integrity does not dominate or intimidate. It uplifts, it does not seek applause, yet it commands respect. Integrity ensures that strength is not corrupted by ego or cruelty. A strong person without integrity becomes dangerous. A strong person guided by integrity becomes transformative. They prove that power can coexist with humility and resilience with compassion. There will be moments when remaining weak feels easier, even justified. Life can be unfair. The weight of responsibility can feel overwhelming. In those moments, the weak version of yourself will argue that you owe nothing to anyone, that survival is enough. That retreat is wisdom. But moral responsibility asks more of you. It asks you to stand firm, even when no reward is guaranteed. It asks you to rise not because it is easy, but because it is right. Becoming strong does not mean becoming unfeeling. It means becoming reliable. It means being someone others can lean on in times of uncertainty. It means carrying your struggles without allowing them to harden your heart. True strength is steady, not reactive, disciplined, not destructive. When you kill the weak version of yourself, you create space for something greater than personal success. You become proof that growth is possible, that character can be forged through perseverance, and that dignity can survive even the harshest conditions. In choosing strength, you do not walk alone. You clear a path for others to follow. And in that act, strength becomes not just a trait, but a responsibility honored.